Welcome and thanks to everyone for joining us today. My name is Michelle Cloutier, and as the Vice President for Enrollment Management at Bryant University, it is my great pleasure to serve as the host and moderator for today's panel. On behalf of all the faculty and staff at Bryant, please know that the entire Bryant community continues to work very hard to help keep our community healthy and so that we can benefit from a full fall semester on campus. We are all in this together and proud of completing our first month with students back at Bryant and enjoying the classroom and residential life experience. Our goal for today's panel is to work with families and explore how we can keep Bryant's successful reopening going for a rewarding fall semester for our students. Our leadership team has comprehensive plans in place, and we are listening closely and learning all of the time as we see what's happening on other campuses and refining our plans accordingly. Before we begin our discussion, I want to provide an overview of this afternoon's program. President Gittell will speak first, and he'll be sharing a behind-the-scenes look at some of the data he uses to guide Bryant's successful testing strategy. From there, our Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Amir, and Provost Lemacy will share their observations on what we are doing really well with, where there are areas where we need to stay vigilant or look to improve on, and how they're approaching spring planning in their respective areas. Before we wrap up, we'll have about 15 minutes at the end to address a few questions that have been emailed through our reopening@bryant.edu mailbox and may be of common interest. So I'd like to introduce our president, Dr. Ross Gittell.
Okay, thank you very much, Michelle, and thank all you parents of freshmen for joining us. I really enjoyed meeting some of you when you moved in your sons and daughters about 5 weeks ago when you brought them to campus, and was really great to connect with you and talk to you about our plans and to talk to you about your sons and daughters. So thank you for joining us. Now, as we approach the end of September, I've been president of Bryant University for almost 3 months. And as you can imagine, it's been a very busy period. And I've learned a lot about the institution, seeing it at this point in time during this global pandemic. And I just want to tell you that your sons and daughters and our Bryant students have done a great job over this last month or so since we started classes. We are so proud of what is happening at our institution to date, and I'll share some of the data with regards to the COVID-19 testing data. But we're very proud of what's happened to date because of the cooperation of our students and everybody at Bryant University. And we feel very fortunate that our campus has had the month that we've had compared to some other institutions, which we're very sympathetic to and are having much more challenging time containing the coronavirus on their campus. We have a great leadership team here at Bryant, and you have in Michelle, Inga, and Glenn, 3 leading examples of that leadership team. And I have to tell you, we're working very hard. It's often cliches that 24/7 and we're working, but that's really true, because with a residential campus in these particular times, we have to work 24/7 to ensure the safety and health of your sons and daughters of the campus. And we're being attentive to the safety and health, as I'll focus on, and also to the integrity and the quality of the academic programming here, which program Lemacy will focus on. But part of that attentiveness to the situation here at Bryant is I wake up, I'm an early riser anyway, but now I wake up at 6 a.m. to data, the most recent data about the day before's COVID test, and look at that data and understand what we need to do, including if there has been a positive case, to do the appropriate contact tracing and the follow-ups, and to monitor the situation, which we're doing on an ongoing basis. So I look at that data to really troubleshoot along with the leadership colleagues and with our public health and public safety focused staff to know what to do. And I'm going to spend some time today with you kind of sharing the data behind the scenes, and maybe we could share that data at this point in time. We have daily dashboards that we look at, and this is a snapshot. This is the latest one as of the end of last week. And we've been testing for about 5 weeks of full testing, and we test the full population, all students, all faculty, all staff, every week. So that's about, ends up being a little bit, approximately 1,000 people a day. So over this 5-week period, so far we've, the total number of tests performed, as you see on this, this first worksheet, is well over 23,000. And over 5 weeks, so this is cumulative, over the 5-week period, over 23,000 tests and only 26 positive cases, COVID positive cases. And that is, you know, that is the numbers we have. And it's very low on a percentage positivity rate. You can see the test positive rate. It's well below what states are experiencing or other institutions are experiencing. It's 0.11%. So it's about 1 out of every, you know, it's about 1 out of every 1,000 who get tested. And that's a very low rate, and it's very manageable rate. And, you know, part of that, the management of it is to contain that one case doesn't spread to others. And you do that through testing aggressively, which is every day, and getting the test results within about 17 to 20 hours. And then when these, it's surveillance testing, so it's primarily asymptomatic individuals, and you get them before they're passing on the virus to others, contagion others. And so you can see right now, we only have this past week 9 positive cases out of about 5,000. So all things considered, we're maintaining that very low positivity test rate. And over a 5-week period, we're further along in our semester than the large majority of institutions. Some of the data you're seeing and some of the numbers you're seeing, the aggregate numbers of others, and most of those are in the triple digits or more, and they're only after 2 or 3 weeks. With orientation, we've been at it for 5 weeks, and we're into our 5th week of the full semester, and it's a manageable level, and we've had no cases with hospitalizations. It's been contained, and no significant clusters, as you could tell, because we've only had the total number over a 5+ week period of 26. So you could see that, and if you just go a little further below, if we could just go down a little, this is our daily testing. So 5 days a week, you know, Monday through Friday. It's interesting that students come in, including freshmen. A lot of freshmen come in on Monday to get tested, so they get their test results, as you probably know from hearing from your sons and daughters, on Tuesday. And then you see we get a little dip down on Friday when there's not as many people on campus, but you know, approximately you get that 1,000 a day. If we go to the tab positive graphs, this is more detailed information. And you'd see we're seeing which groups have the highest incidence of these are positive cases in different groups. And it's mainly among students, and it's mainly among resident students. We understand who is getting, who's having the positive test. And if we move a little over and you see the test, the case status, you see that current. So there's only 9 current cases. That's a low number considering that we're over 5,000 here, total population, and that the contagion from that 9 is very, very low. And if you move to the bottom, you see the exposure site graphic. And in the exposure site graphic, what you see is the exposure in the large majority of cases is from off campus. So that's given us confidence that the virus is not spreading on campus. It's coming in from the outside, and that is why we are strongly urging our students to stay on campus, and we're hosting many events, safe, public health-wise, safe events for students to stay on campus because that limits their exposure to the outside. And we're trying to keep our students on campus. And again, they've been, for the very, very large majority, they've been cooperating, they've been socially distancing, and they have been masking. So you could see this is the data, and we're transparent with the data, sharing it with you. We shared it with the students last week. We provide a weekly full comprehensive update to the Bryant community, and we use the data to manage what we do, so we could tell, what's the current status and how we might need to respond. So, that's to kind of give you a little bit of an inside look on how we operate, and to provide you with some more information, which we will continue to do. But what the data really speaks volumes to is about the character of Bryant students, and reflects that they're following public health guidelines. There are a lot of college presidents, honestly, that are looking at the same types of data that I shared with you. And if they had our data, they would be envious because of our low incidence and our ability to manage this properly. We're really benefiting from our relationship with the Broad Institute at Harvard, at MIT, which has the highest quality testing, very high reliability, and that rapid turnaround, as I spoke, within 17 to 20 hours. And thanks to Broad, thanks to our strong team, and thanks to the cooperation of your sons and daughters, we really feel like we are managing this situation. There are things outside of our control, but the leadership team is optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that we'll be able to really fulfill the desires of all of you and your sons and daughters, is to keep this campus open, have your sons and daughters have a very strong academic experience here, and highest priority to keep them healthy and safe, and in a very rewarding environment. So we thank you, because we know you're influencing your children's behavior, and please continue to reinforce to them, give them a pat on the back, but say, we still have a ways to go. So kind of keep it up and work hard and have a rewarding semester. And you could be part of something that we'll be all proud of. If I come and see you once again when you're picking up your sons and daughters to have them go home for Thanksgiving, we could all, take a deep breath and give ourselves a little pat on the back, including your sons and daughters, and said, we did this, and we could be proud of it. But we know we have a ways to go, so we appreciate your cooperations, your sons and daughters' cooperation. Let's keep it going. And if you have questions, concerns, keep those questions coming to us. So, Michelle, I hope that gives an overview of the data. I hope I didn't share too much data, but we like to be as transparent as possible.
You'd think by now I know how to work Zoom. I was on mute. Thank you, President Gittell. I now have the opportunity to introduce two other of my colleagues who I get to work with on a daily basis, who alongside President Gittell have been instrumental in creating a successful student experience, both in the classroom and out. And I'd also like to say a safe experience as well. So I'd like to introduce our Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Dr. Amir, to share with all of you some of her thoughts as the semester progresses and what we have planned in the spring.
Thank you, Michelle. Hello, first-year families. It's great to see you again, even if it's virtually. I did enjoy, as President Gittell said, meeting many of you in actual person during MoveIn. First, I wanted to say you should be very proud of your students. They've risen to the expectations in these difficult times and are helping us provide a positive residential college experience. These are challenging times for this generation, and they have stepped up, and I'm so glad that they are part of this community as first-year students. Second, I wanted to say flu shots, flu shots, flu shots. Please help us to encourage your students to get flu shots, and please also get flu shots for yourselves. Why? Well, because many of the symptoms that are classified under COVID are the exact same symptoms as we see in the flu. We will be having flu clinics here, right at the same location where the students get their testing. Those will be in October. They've already been widely advertised when we get our serum. That's why we're waiting until October. So please encourage your students to get their flu shots, or to do it earlier by going to CVS nearby, or if they go home on a weekend, to get their flu shots near their home. It's really going to be important this year so that we can distinguish between students that are presenting possible positives versus the flu. So thank you for your support. I just wanted to do a general reminder that we have all student services going at this time, like we always do. Some of it's virtual, but most of it's in person, and usually your student can choose which they would like. So I just wanted to remind you that the Fisher Center for Student Activities is open, and we still have 110 student clubs going and running activities and having meetings. So if your first year's looking for a place to land, there's a lot of wonderful student organizations looking for new members. Our Amicus Center is in full operation, which is our career center. We are running all of our our career fairs virtually, and we've had a lot of good student response. But you can also do walk-in appointments if you would like to talk to an Amicus counselor. They have their first-year RAs who they can always go to with any kind of issue around mental health, around social life, just around where do you get a good burger in Smithfield. Also, the Chase Wellness Center is open, and we have outside group classes. One of the fun things at 4 o'clock every day is to go outside and see all the group exercise classes working out. You can also make an appointment to go to the gym, and the gym is open. And then, of course, we have our counseling center and health center open. So I just wanted to reiterate, you can do counseling sessions virtually, telehealth, or you can also do it in person. And then I just wanted to remind all you families out there, we're doing a virtual Family and Friends Weekend, October 23rd through the 25th. And I look forward to many of you signing up and participating. Thanks so much, Michelle.
Thank you, Vice President Emir. And now let me introduce our Provost, Glenn Lemacy, who will talk with you about how the semester is going, winter session, IDEA, plans, and academic affairs. So, Provost Lemacy.
Thanks, Michelle, and thanks, everybody, and welcome. It's 55 days till our last day of class today, so it's hard to imagine. Just 55 days, and I, like President Gittell and Vice President Emir, want to thank you, the parents, for what you've done to give us your children, and what they've done here so far, acted like mature adults in incredibly difficult and unprecedented circumstances for first years at a university. We're very, very proud of your children. Your sons and daughters have been behaving better than we could have ever imagined, and we expect them to continue to do that with just 55 days left. I know that sounds minor, but it is a long time still. But it's 55 days that I ask us to keep pushing till the last day of classes and keep studying. What a great opportunity in a pandemic to spend as much time in the library and in their classrooms and the AIC as possible. And this might be a great time, especially for first years, to lay that foundation that I spoke to them about when I first talked to them, about their first foundational year, first semester, for the rest of their academic experience. It'll be important for them to do real well. The semester is going well. Finals are just around the corner. We're looking at right now that last week in November 14th, 16th is the actual last day of classes, 17th to the 24th. So all finals will be completed one way or the other by the 24th of November. And as promised, they will be home for Thanksgiving without having finals on their minds, and have 2 months off. Have right now would have the entire month of December and the entire month of January off until they go to IDEA, which will be the last week of January. When we say that, the great thing we're getting to do this year is offer, as promised, 2 winter sessions, a winter session in December and a winter session in January. And very, very excited about the offerings, both from the College of Business to the College of Arts and Sciences, communications courses, economics courses, math courses, Accounting 203, Accounting 204, and Accounting 300 level marketing courses. We're really expanding the opportunity for your children. And as promised as well, we will have reduced tuition for those online, completely online courses that'll be offered in both December and January. And that course reduction, the price will be reduced, and that will be shortly being announced. But we're excited about the opportunity to offer these classes, but then at a reduced cost for your children, for your sons and daughters. So we're very excited about that. We also have, as I said, the IDEA program will be running on that last week of January. It looks like we'll be starting, our schedule right now has us beginning remote classes initially, meaning that we would start on February 1st, Monday, February 1st until that Friday the 6th, 7th as being all remote. So the first week of classes would be remote, and then move-in weekend will be the Super Bowl weekend at Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and we'd begin in-person classes on Tuesday. Again, that is right now just being finalized and promulgated, and it's all subject to the virus. We're not sure, the President, Vice President Emir, and myself watch the virus closely, as does obviously Vice President Cloutier and all of us, to see where it's going, what it's heading. But right now, that's what we're looking at to provide that first move-in experience would be the weekend, that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, so that when we did see you in a much warmer climate, when you brought your children on August the 19th, we'd see them again, and we'd have that organized fashion of being tested again as they came back and being ready to start the semester in person. So we're very, very excited about it, and I think I'll have a chance later, if Michelle permits me, to talk a little bit more about the spring semester. So thank you very much. Semester has been going extremely well. Academics have been rolling. As we promised, 11 new classrooms. All 11 of the new classrooms we've outfitted with tremendous technology that has benefited your students predominantly, because we made sure that 96% of the classes are for first years or freshmen are being offered in one seating. They're not having to have the hybrid approach. They're able to sit down together with appropriate social distancing, with masks, but still being able to sit in one sitting and have as close to that normal college experience as possible in their first semester. So again, thank you. We thank your children, and I thank our faculty for their commitment to ensuring not just the safety of your sons and daughters, but also their incredible academic experience as first years at Bryant University. Michelle.
Thank you, Provost Lemacy. Now we're going to switch over to the question and answer part of the presentation today. So it looks as though our first question is for President Gittell. President Gittell, what circumstances would cause Bryant to suspend residential living and classes on site this fall? And how many positive cases does there have to be for students to be sent home?
Yeah, it's a good question, Michelle. And we're never at that point. We're kind of steady, very, very low state of positive tests that we're at right now. But if we begin to see any signs of an outbreak on campus, which is what we're all trying to avoid, but if we did see signs of an outbreak, we would be working very closely with the Rhode Island Department of Health on what steps to take next. The best practice that is emerging and endorsed by Dr. Fauci is that in the event of an outbreak at a university, the colleges would keep students on campus with widespread quarantine and restricting activities. And we do have the capacity to quarantine students and also the capacity to continue academic instruction with restricting other types of activities. Some schools that have faced an outbreak, and unfortunately there's quite a few, but some schools have come out the other side of it pretty well. For example, Notre Dame, early on in their semester, had an outbreak and they kept students on campus. but went completely remote. And they went completely remote with very restricted activities for students for 2 weeks. And now they've been able to resume instruction. That's the first model that we're looking at. At least it's been successful at other institutions. And it's following the guidelines from Dr. Fauci and others that we would try to really reduce the risk of further contagion, try to control it, go to remote instruction, keep the students a very low activity on campus for that necessary 2-week period, and then try to resume the semester. And based upon other universities' experience and our close contact with them, we feel like that's a model that we'll look at. And with our high flex instructional method and capabilities, we're able to switch to all remote instruction very fast. And our students, all our students, including freshmen, are familiar with accessing the classes in different modalities. And we'd support that for those who had any challenges. And we'd also try to maintain the spirit of students, recognizing that it'd be part of Be Bryant Strong, and that 2 weeks is a relatively short time period to restrict activity, to ensure a healthy and safe campus, and that we'd be able to get back to in-class instruction. Another option, and we do have options, and we'll have to work through those different options, Michelle. Another option that we might move to de-densify the campus by sending some students home, but not everyone. Right now, we're at about 90% residential that we compared to last year, so we're quite high residency while maintaining that super low positivity rate. But we do, one option if we do have an outbreak is to de-densify the campus and send home some students. Overall, I wish I could respond and say there's a simple scientific proven best response to it. I think there are good options. There's very good options. What I could state definitely is we will keep students and everybody else fully informed. And when I say fully informed of what we're planning to do, what the expectations are of our students and parents. And not only will we talk about what our plans are, but why we came to these plans. What's the rationale that we're doing it? So basically, we want to keep everybody fully informed at different stages of any process where we move towards a different status.
Thank you, President Gittell. This next question is for Vice President Emir. Dr. Amir, what does DPS do to ensure that students are following the campus visitor policy and guests aren't staying overnight when they visit residential students?
Good question. So first, we're very fortunate at Bryant to have one point of entry, which I think has really helped us in this fight against the pandemic. So every single person that drives onto campus stops at entry control and has a conversation with the officer about what they're doing here. If they're a student, staff, or faculty member, they show their health checker app. As students, just so you know, show their health checker app and their ID so that the officer knows who they are and that they are up to date on their testing. Visitors are also asked to fill out the health checker app, and so are any workers, contract workers that are doing work on our campus. In terms of students sneaking someone in, to be totally frank with you, we have a anonymous tip line that we use that students have right on our app, and the 1 or 2 cases we've had of that we found out about right away and walked those students off campus, and the other students have faced contact issues. So we're taking our safety and security on campus really seriously. I'm happy to report that the majority of students are really abiding by that and also coming in before 10 p.m. And so you can really take a lot of pride in what our Bryant students are doing to not only have a great experience in and out of the classroom, but also to keep their campus community safe.
Thank you, Vice President Emir. This next question is for Provost Lemacy. What is the spring semester going to look like in terms of course selection and class times? And also, can you clarify the idea week, the remote week, in person and then move back to campus, and then first week of on-campus classes?
Sure, no question. Thank you for that opportunity to clarify. One is to go over the actual return for the students would be conducting. IDEA will be remote because of the issues with the pandemic. So it'll be done remotely in an incredible format that we're putting together, and just literally were briefed on it just about an hour ago in greater detail. And it's something that your students, your children will get a tremendous amount out of. The week of the 25th of January. So 25, 26, 27, 28, 20, but they'll be home with you. The following week, as I'm looking right here as I talk to you, the first week for classes, tentatively now for the spring semester, will be remote from home that first week, which is February 1st through the 5th. 1 through 5 would be remote. And the idea of that is to ensure we're giving enough chance for students to have a better pulse on the virus. You'll have had a full 2 months away and see where the virus is at over the period of January to see where we're going. And then move-in weekend would be the 6th, 7th, and 8th. We'd have 3 full days like we did during the summer, 6, 7, and 8 February to begin. And then in-person classes begin on the 9th. That corresponds with the idea of us trying to not have any Saturday classes in this period, and to trying to still complete the semester on time and still have the capability to have commencement on that Saturday and Sunday. We're planning having the class of 2020 commencement on the Sunday and the class of 2021 on that Saturday, the 20th and 22nd of May. So that's what we're looking at doing, and hopefully that clarifies a little bit about what we're looking at. So idea is that last week in January, the university semester begins the first week of February, but it's remote. People move back in that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then we're in person, presumably, that Tuesday. And that's what we're looking at in terms of the spring. Some of you asked during the winter session classes, how is that working? They should be posted on the registrar now, but there are core courses like macroeconomic. There are some core courses, not all are available. It's not a full selection, but there's a significant selection of some core courses, some courses that Principles of Government is offered. There's several that are being offered, and some are in required for tracks that you might be. You might be an IB major, and Accounting 203 is a requirement. So there's different ones that you'll be able to take advantage of. Marketing 201 is being offered. And they'll be all listed there for you as really a great opportunity for your sons and daughters to get ahead, take a course they're interested in. It could be Italian, introduction to filmmaking, to filling out, getting macroeconomics, or getting other courses done that'll be sequenced with what they need. But it is a tremendous opportunity in both December and as well as in January. I hope that clarifies what we're doing in terms of idea and the opening, and how we're doing it virtually to begin with, and then in person. And again, this hasn't been published yet, but is soon to be. But we wanted to give you that. Again, we're trying to be as transparent as possible. These are decisions that are being made in consultation with the Rhode Island Department of Health, with what we're doing here, with the president, other presidents, other provosts, vice presidents of student affairs, to try to do its best to try to answer the call for providing academic excellence in a period of uncertainty. Hopefully that helps, Michelle.
Thank you, Provost Lemacy. Vice President Emir, there's another question for you. As it's starting to get cold outside, what changes are we going to be making to the Salmonson Dining Hall tent?
That's a great question. At this moment, President Gittell, myself, student government, and other members of business affairs are meeting just about that, as to how we can continue to expand the dining hall once it gets a little bit cooler. So in our Friday newsletters that we do to give you updates about COVID and how we're dealing with the virus and the campus, we'll put that information in there.
Thank you. The next question is about Wi-Fi connectivity in the residence halls. Dr. Amir, maybe you can address this, although you're not the CIO.
No. However, I do learn things every day that I did not know. Part of that is the generation that I come from, and part of that is just being on a college campus and learning about IT all the time. So anyway, we've learned that some of the concrete walls that we have in some of the residence halls are impacting connectivity. So we've just placed a large order for something called access booster point plugs. I wanted to make sure I read it exactly, so I'm looking at my notes. And those can be placed in a student's room and help with connectivity. So in the future, students should always be calling the help desk about any computer issues, and what we'll do is install one of those boosters in your son or daughter's room. So good question. Always learning.
Thank you, Vice President Emir. This is another question for you, Vice President Emir. What is the spring semester going to look like in terms of move-in and access to on-campus testing?
Great question. So in terms of move-in, all of you did a fabulous job in the fall. We'll continue to have a time that you'll schedule an appointment. Those are not up yet, so don't look for those appointments yet, but they will be up when the semester ends. And there'll be 3 days of move-in, as the Provost said, February 6th, 7th, and 8th. You'll sign up for a move-in slot. You can bring 2 guests and drop your student off. Lots of hugs and kisses, and give them good supplies from Costco, and then move on to say goodbye to them. So we'll be running it very similar to the way we ran it in the fall. We are planning to do surveillance testing in the spring, and so students will come and they'll need to stay in their room for 24 hours until they get their test results, which everyone did a great job with. And frankly, now our test results are happening much more quickly. We were learning back then, and we have more trips going up to the Broad Institute from Smithfield every day. So it'll be most likely less than 24 hours from when they take their test to when they get their results. I don't know what the testing site is going to look like for check-in. I do want everyone tested before they check into their room, but we'll need to discuss that as a senior team about where we're going to do that.
And students will have the same roommate as they did in the fall and the spring.
Yes.
Thank you. This next question is for President Gittell. How many positive cases do we have?
I think I mentioned it before, but it's definitely worth highlighting and repeating. Over the 5-week period that we've done testing, more than 5 weeks now, and about 23,000 tests, we've had 26 positive COVID cases, and there are only 9 that are current now. That's very low. And just so parents get a sense for what happens, students test, and students with negative results get an email from Broad, via us, and they look at their test results and it's negative. If a student has a positive test result, we immediately contact the student. We call the student, immediately contact them, and initiate contact tracing. And it's very personalized, it's confidential information. And we ask the student who has tested positive who they have been in close contact with. And those close contacts are then identified and quarantined as appropriate. And we do this in concert and under the guidelines and rules of the Rhode Island Department of Health, who've been incredibly helpful. It would be helpful, and we're trying to encourage our students through their schedules and other mechanisms, is to keep a log on who are their closest friends and associates. But we've been through this methodology, the aggressive testing, fast turnaround, immediate contact tracing, isolating those individuals. What we've been able to do is contain the contagion. So those 26 haven't multiplied into 126 or 226 because of this methodology. So we're seeing what's been referred to, I think, as R values. You want to keep your R values below 1. That it's less than one person, that each person who has the coronavirus is contagious. So we've been able to manage that through this very methodical, very intense approach that I referred back to that keeps us going 24/7. Now we are trying to make this information and some more detailed information available. Because we know parents are very concerned and want access to information. So exploring ways in which we could make part of the dashboard that we share, that I showed you, more accessible to parents and with a little more information. We are focusing on the 7-day moving average, because day to day, I don't want to get too technical here, Michelle, but each day we could have 1,000 tests, but that's the 1,000 tests in one day is not a representative of our full population. So we might have individual days where it's looking like we're above that, about 0.1, 0.2 positivity rate, but we don't want to alarm the whole campus. We want to see that 7-day moving average. That said, if there's any one day where we see a much larger number than we've been seeing, incidents or positive test results, then we will take action and be transparent about it. With the contact tracing information, that has to be very confidential. We have true professionals who are leading that process and very well trained and certified to do that. So, I gave you the numbers, the direct answer to that question, and they were on the dashboard, Michelle. But there's a lot that goes behind that, and it's really important for parents to understand when we give the numbers what the numbers represent.
Thank you, President Gittell. A couple of questions for you, Dr. Amir. Questions are coming in if students need to pack up their dorm room when they go home for Thanksgiving, all of their stuff home, and then remove back in when the spring semester begins.
Well, that's a really good question. As the provost said, and the president, we're watching the virus all the time. At this time, I'm hoping that's not the case, but if a spread were to happen or something unforeseen, we would communicate that out to you. At this time, we're not planning that, but you need to stay vigilant in November as we send out residential life emails.
Thank you. The other question is, what happens when students come to campus after 10 o'clock? Are they getting tested more frequently?
Yeah, great question. So students that come in after 10 get asked to be tested twice a week. We're already testing a lot of our population twice a week: athletes, the RAs, custodians, all the residential life staff, people that are in high contact, forward facing with students. And so yes, you would be asked to get tested twice a week. I do want to just emphasize that the significant majority of students coming in after 10 have jobs or other obligations that make sense for them. And we're talking they come in 10:30, 11. The majority of our Bryant students have been super respectful of securing the campus after 10 p.m. So I just want to make that really clear.
Thank you. This next question is for all of our panelists, starting with you, President Gittell. Given the low number of positive cases, is there any chance that current restrictions could be lessened?
Michelle, our low level of positive cases on campus is truly a direct result of the public health best practices we have put in place. And thanks to the sacrifices that our students and everyone is making. To go back from something that is proving to be working so well would really jeopardize everything. And we're seeing other institutions that have not as aggressive testing, not as restrictive practices with regards to masking and social distances we believe would not be appropriate at all now. We have the low positivity rates, and we've been able to keep a residency campus going because of the way we've been managing it, and we're going to continue to do that throughout the semester. And it's become a norm of practice here, and we're really proud of the students, and we want to keep that going. In fact, I know the freshmen want to be here. They want to have that campus experience. But I'll tell you, it's the seniors who want to be here because they know how special this is, and they know they won't be back after this year. So it's our seniors who really tell me the most. They're the strongest, I guess, because they feel the most comfortable talking to senior administrators, because also they want to have their last year on campus. So they say, we got to keep this going with all the safe practices, and they're working with the freshmen, and it's really been nice to see so far, very nice to see. And what we want to keep what we've been doing going, be attentive to it. If anything, we're really focused more on the other side. If our positive test rates go up, how will we respond to keep the campus safe and healthy, and keeping the residents' experience going here at our institution?
Thank you, President Gittell. Provost Lemacy and Vice President Emir, do you have anything to add to President Gittell's perspective on that? I'll start with you, Vice President Emir.
No, I totally agree, and I just think that things are working, and when things are going well and you're having a good result, I think you keep going with that. We do evaluate everything pretty much on a regular basis, daily. So we would let students know right away if there was any changes.
Thank you, Vice President Emir. Provost Lemacy?
No, I think President Gittell and Vice President Emir covered it completely. We are at a stage where I said we're very, very proud of your sons and daughters, and it comes from you, and we need your help to keep them focused. It's a result of what you're telling them and reminding them, and they're doing a heck of a job, and we have to praise where praise is due, and there's a lot to go around, but we're on pretty comfortable grounds, but this could change in a moment's notice with a virus like this, as every one of you know who are out there, and we're ready to react depending on what happens. I think President Gittell mentioned we meet bi-weekly. We meet all the time, but Vice President Emir, Liz O'Neill, and President Gittell and I meet bi-weekly just to go over different scenarios, to literally game out what would happen in this situation. How are we doing here? What areas do we need to concentrate on? What are we looking at? And from my background, as most of you know, I mean, preparation equals performance, and I think we're prepared to go ahead and respond if something does occur. Hopefully it doesn't. Right now, again, we have to just keep people staying focused for this period of time as much as possible to keep those cases down and keep ourselves out of that area that other schools are seeing right now. We're not having that because of a shared commitment and that Bryant way of doing business is we're all in this together. And you hear that in the news, but it's really happening here. And it's students, faculty, staff, administration. We're in this together. We want to make it happen because it's going to put us even more on the spotlight, which is a spotlight we want to be in, as being a success story. So I couldn't agree with the president more.
Thank you, Provost Lemacy. Provost Lemacy, can you comment a little bit more about the planning for IDEA and how that's unfolding?
Yep, sure. Thank you. It's unfolding as we speak, but IDEA, as most of you know, is a centerpiece of our first year experience. It really is a coming together for the class and a melding of the class, but also learning the way we want them to think, the design thinking module. And we're trying to do it as best we can under unprecedented conditions, which we've seen consistently. But Dr. Butler has met with me on several occasions, has been working hard, met with myself and Dr. Amir just 2 hours ago to brief us on where we're at and what we're doing. She'll be briefing the president the next week to say exactly what we're doing and how we're planning to proceed. It's the same experience. They're planning the same. They're trying to do this as best we can. Your students will still be interacting with businesses. We'll still have that experience of working together as a team. They'll be put into teams just like before. It'll just be virtual. by virtue of this. However, one items that we're adamant about, and particularly I know Inga and I are, is to have that in-person experience. And that is part of it. And what we're trying to do before they go, so, they may come home with a bunch of idea stuff. They may have a bag filled with this thing called idea, and you've heard about it, but they'll be their written materials, but also their idea hat, and to give them that sense of being part of this when they are remote at the time of their experience. Secondarily, when we have that, we've got a whole list of, and again, a mock schedule of what we'll be doing, a proposed schedule. But beyond that, we really want to have that in person. If things change, we don't know what it'll be like next May. We're presuming it might be an opportunity for them to still have that, whether it's then or next fall. We're going to give them some sort of an idea experience in person, which is an important part, I think, not just the academic side of learning a new way to think, not just the idea of critical thinking and empathy, but also going to this, to the idea of coming together as a class. It really becomes an opportunity, a rite of passage, if you will, of a Bryant student. And they're going to have that. And trust me, I've seen the materials. Inga and I have gone through it. The president's going to be very pleased when he sees what we've put forward for our students. But I am not, I'm not shying away from still having this class be together for some sort of a coming together. This year's theme is in line with what we see going around is empathy. One of the key components of and one of the first blocks of idea thinking of the process is empathy. And what a great year for us to be doing that. We've all had to do empathy for those of you at home doing at-home learning, empathy for your students, empathy for the administration, empathy for each other, empathy for those that are sick and dying, as well as other areas that we've seen being mistreated by our own institutions of government. Other areas, but we want to have them have that empathy, and that'll be the theme this year, which I think is great for any first year experience, and we're really looking forward to that taking off. But they will have their package when they come home. During that week, they'll be having the same experience and literally being broken off into groups and going off to a internship, if you will, or to a business to evaluate that business, but it'll be by Zoom. And that's the way we're doing it now in the real world anyway. So they're going to be learning how we're doing it, and most of you are doing in your workspaces now today by Zoom. So they're going to be experts in that. And then they come back and present, and we'll have the awards still given, and they'll have that. But again, I want to reiterate that we will have that in-person kind of coming together for all of us for the class at some point when it's safe and when it's deemed appropriate and okay by our federal government and state government. Hopefully that doesn't go too long-winded, but hopefully that answers your question. I'm excited about IDEA, and I'm excited about IDEA for your families.
Thank you, Provost Lemacy. Provost Lemacy, is there anything you want to talk about with the winter session in terms of when students would begin to sign up for those courses, when the schedule would be released?
Sure. The schedule should be on the .edu page now for all the winter session courses that are available. They're filling some of the faculty in that'll be teaching some of the classes. But you'll be able to start registering shortly. That'll come out almost immediately. And they'll also have the chance to look at, like I said, a variety of classes. Not just, they can maybe take one in December and one in January, or just take both, take two in December. The opportunity for them to get ahead, to find a course maybe they didn't do well in, to take it again, to find one that they want to take and they want to have a little free. There's all sorts of opportunities for them. And what some of it might be, you might be a business major and you want to take Introduction to Film Studies. It doesn't fit in anywhere else, but you can do that during this time. We do feel strongly, having all of us here have children that are in college, and ours will be home for that month of December. Most of you are hoping they have something to do, and this is something that I think they can do. I see President Gittell grinning. His two daughters were in college. Vice President Emir has two graduates of college. Michelle doesn't. Michelle's got a 6-year-old, but she'll have it someday. But we all have that, and this is something wonderful to keep them focused on schoolwork during a time we're doing this with the compressed schedule. This is a once in a lifetime, I guess, once in an opportunity. In terms of we won't have a December winter offering again, just by virtue of the way the courses work, unless the pandemic's still around. but we always have the January, but now we've expanded. Just to be upfront with you, and you'll hear the upper class talk about it, Michelle, we expanded. It's normally just College of Arts and Sciences classes, but we have College of Business this time as well. Like I said to you, there's a bunch of, from marketing to accounting and other areas, management. So having both, to have that option for your sons and daughters will be critical. And I, have them look through it. It'd be on the .edu page, Michelle. And we'll also, I know Liz is already talking to me about making sure there's a reminder and a link on her Friday page that President Gittell puts out. President will remind everybody about these offerings in his the Friday report from the president, which I think you've all enjoyed very much, that sense of transparency. And this is another example of communication that we'll be putting out on this winter session. But I can't tell you how excited we all are, and the deans and I are, about this opportunity to have 2 winter sessions, Michelle.
Thank you, Provost Lemacy. And thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. I hope you found the conversation helpful and informative. And even though things are looking a little bit different this fall, we are trying to get through this together and make it a meaningful learning experience. I am really proud of the work that my colleagues have done, and even more proud of your students who are doing what they need to do to keep safe and to stay on campus. President Gittell, is there anything you'd like to add in closing?
No, I want to mention is, we took a very serious tone quite a bit in this conversation. But, students are enjoying themselves. They're enjoying the opportunity to continue their academic studies. The library is being used quite a bit. I hear from faculty that their students are really engaging and taking advantage of being on campus. I had the fortune, I think I went to 3 events on 3 evenings last week. One was a religious services on Rosh Hashanah. Another was a meeting with student government, and another was a club, the entrepreneurship club. At all those clubs, the students were completely masked and appropriately distanced, but they were engaged. They were asking good questions. They were interacting well with each other. So there is student life here. Thanks to Inga and her team's work, the students are taking advantage of it, and you should be really proud of them because they are practicing public health best practices, and that doesn't stop them from having a residential life experience and continuing their education. So we're committed to working with you. We're going to continue to have safe, fun events for your students to do, and Provost Lemacy and others, including myself, are going to continue to really encourage them. This is a great time, particularly freshmen, to get a very, very strong start on your academics here as they begin their college education. So thank you again for joining us, and we want to be as available and as transparent as possible because we know these are difficult times for you and your families, and we want to reassure you that we're doing our best, and we appreciate your cooperation, and particularly your sons and daughters' cooperation here. Thank you.